Okay, so one of the things I promised you, this is a continuation, or rather a supplementary to the Traveller 5 character generation side of things that we've been ploughing our way through. So ahead of part 3 of that, which just goes into mustering out and so on, I'm going to show you what we've got on the screen here, which is a bit more of a complex example of character generation than our little rogue. And it involves commissions, promotions, changing careers, all of this kind of stuff. Right, so let me explain what we've got here in front of us. This first bit up here, that's just exactly how we started in part 1 of this, where we've got our 4 roles that need consideration of genetics, our starting roles that we get there, start of a 10. The home world this time, instead of Salo, I've selected Gateway because it gives me a whole bunch of trade classification codes, each of which generate a skill. So we can see from this column here now, so we've got from home world, he's got 0G, Vac Suit 2, 1 for IC, 1 for VA, Survey 1, Driver Grav 1, and Language Hiver 1. So that's what he begins with from his home world. Okay, so we went through some education block here. That's exactly the same as it all went in part 1, where we've got, so he went to university, he had to roll a thing versus education, two six-sided dice versus education. Now, in all of these little blocks as we go through these, where I've had to make a roll to succeed, the successes are in green, the failures are in red, and stuff I needed to do something else in order to get a success are in yellow. Okay, so this was a success, got into university, chose Astrogator as his major, chose Language Hiver as his minor, succeeded in his the year 1, pass 1, succeeded in year 2, pass 2, succeeded in year 3, pass 3, failed in year 4, but took a waiver to make a roll against his social standing in order to see if he could carry on and not flunk out. That's successful, which is why it's yellow. So we ended up doing that. He also passed with honours, so that was a 9 versus his education. The education here, in this case, was 9, so 9v9. All of that. Okay, so up here we're just keeping a track of his age. So all of that's related into 3 passes, which meant 3 ranks additional to his major, and 1 rank for his minor. So for every 2 ranks you succeed at your major, you get 1 rank on your minor. So because he failed that, we only have that 1 rank in the minor. Okay, and his education should normally go, so if we go up to here, his education should normally go to 8 from that, but he's already got an education of 8, so it goes to, an education of 9, so it goes to 10 instead. So passed with a BA, and honours in BA, education has gone to 10. Right, so on to the next line, taking his masters to get in, 9 versus education is now 10, so that's fine. Major in Astrogator, minor in Bureaucrat, fine. Pass 1 and pass 2, there is no 3 and 4 for this. And honours, 10 versus education of, which is now 10 due to the raise that we got for getting a honours BA. So now, from all of that line, basically resolves 2 years of his master's degree, and we have a master's, in which case Astrogator has gone to 7 and Bureaucrat has gone to 1. So it's the same again. It's +1 rank for each pass. So Astrogator goes up by 2 ranks, and then +1 in the minor for every 2 passes. In this case, Bureaucrat goes to 1 because we've got those 2 passes. Okay, so on to take a professorship. So he tries to get in, fails that to start with. So instead, he goes on and rolls a waiver again. So the waiver this time, it's +1 because of the previous waiver. Goes on to all of this, decides to take bureaucrat this time and language hiver, because I've got this concept that I'm building in my head that he is going to be ultimately end up as a diplomat or something like that between the Plavian the Plavian state and the hivers that are floating around in Gateway. And again, a couple of pass rolls to do that, honours and all of that kind of stuff, and he ends up with his professorship going on there. Now, slight thing here in the fact that that here should have succeeded because of his MA going up to 11 there, so it's really 10 versus 11, so the waiver, but I didn't bother to correct it because, well, you can see that cock-ups happen. Right. It should have been a success because it's 10 versus 11 rather than 10 versus 9, or 10 versus, it's 10 versus 10. There we go, 10 versus 10 rather than 10 versus 9. Okay. So because of the ONS, he's already got the stated education level, so his education went up by 1 for his honours, and now it goes up by another, or it goes to Edu 12, because that's what you get for professorship. And there we go. So he comes out of all of this. He is now 26 years old and is starting his career. This is where we end up in here. He goes into the Space Navy of some form or description. To get in, he needs to roll a 5 for the controlling characteristic this time. So he doesn't need to roll a 5. He rolled a 5 against the selected characteristic this time of intelligence, because the allowed controlling characteristics for spaces are, let me just quickly look them up, C1, C2 and C4, which is strength, dexterity and intelligence. So intelligence being higher, choose that one for the start. As you can see, we chose 7 strength for the second one. So controlling characteristic is intelligence in this case. The branch he chooses, or he rolls for, he gets 5, rolled a 5, gets +2 because his education is 10 or higher, ends up in the technical branch, rolls 4 times, once for each year in the Navy, if you like. So he gets, and +2 again because of his education. So high education, get pushed further down the table. So he gets Siege, A&M School, in this case Naval School, Shore Duty and Shore Duty. So there we go. These +1s and this +1. So in technical +1, Siege technical +0, Siege +0, Shore Duty +0, A&M School also has +0, and Shore Duty again for +0. They add or they modify the risk and reward rolls further on. So basically, the more dangerous the situation that your character gets in, then the higher the risk becomes, regardless of any risk modification that you've added in, your caution or bravery, and all of that. So it kind of can scupper your plans if you suddenly end up with high risk stuff coming in there that eliminates your risk mod. Anyway, going on. So his risk modification, I've chosen 2 here because I just want the guy to be safe. He's an academician in the Navy. So I don't imagine him being this big warrior guy going out and all of this. I imagine him just talking to hivers on behalf of the Navy. So relatively low risk. I could have put on a higher one there, but 2 seemed reasonable to up the 7 target that he's got floating around because of his intelligence up to 9. That's fine. Okay, so risk. We've got 4 versus intelligence +2. So roll of 4 against the intelligence +2. Now risk. The risk modifier here is +2. So limit the risk. If we could have dropped his intelligence down for this this target number, if we had taken higher risk. But if you remember back to the previous video, the risk is your risk modifier is applied in reverse to your reward modifier. So for high risk, you are running for higher rewards. For low risk, you are running for lower rewards. Easy. Okay, so we passed that, so we get an exemplary service thing for passing the risk. Reward 4 versus intelligence -2. So he succeeded on that, so he gets his reward, which in this case is an excess, and the medal, he achieved a medal for it. And looking up on the medal table, one of those tables I said keep by you all the time, the unmodified reward roll is looked up on that, and it turns out that his medal is also an exemplary service. So he's ended up being quite fairly good at what he does. Maybe the Hivers love him and therefore the Navy loves him. Whatever. Goes for a commission, fails, so still enlisted. Goes for a promotion in the enlisted ranks, goes to enlisted rank 2. So there you go. So these are the odds. So 7 versus dexterity, 7 versus dexterity plus the number of excesses he's achieved, or the modifier from the medals is achieved. So it's +1 per excess there. Skill options, so he gets beams automatically for enlisted rank 1, and then I've rolled 2 personals, 1 shore duty and 2 siege on the spaces table, which has resulted in endurance +1, intelligence +1, a ranking programmer, a ranking computer, a ranking gunner, and then rolled his continuation roll. So he needs to roll against strength, gets a 5 versus strength, so he can continue. So all of those skills are in that T1 column there, right? And also the T1, his adjustments up in endurance and intelligence. All right, so on to we got this as well. So this is his time in A&M college. There's no entry or beginning or anything like that, because A&M college, you're assigned to it. So you can see that from the tables in the rule book. Right, so majored in pilot, gets out of that, so he ends up doing see if he gets his pass. It's only a year long because it takes the place of one of the years and the term. He successfully gets that. Should have made that into green, but there we go. Successfully does it. So that means he gets 2 ranks in pilot ACS, and there's our 2 ranks pilot ACS. There's our 2 ranks in pilot ACS for his A&M, his period at A&M. Right, fine. On to term 2. That's this one here. So term 2 is a spacer. Is controlling characteristic this time, CC, with this time we've chosen as strength, mainly because it was the second highest one after intelligence, but it's still not is not his best. We're trying to avoid going too much into the low characteristic, which is dexterity, but strength will do for the time being. So branch remains technical. Because he got promotion here, he could have switched branch if he wanted to, but I've continued him in a technical because he's the technical branch. He's quite happy there. Roll for what happens this time. The operations, we get siege, mission, shore duty, and mission. So in that case, we've got risk mod. I'm sticking with that 2 from same as we used the last one. However, he gets a modifier of 3, which is the highest one for the modifiers that are going on here. In which case missions +3. You don't add those together, you just take the highest one of that and apply that. So he's got +3 going on there. Does he successfully survive his risk roll? No, he doesn't. He fails his risk roll. So there's the +2 modifier from our caution, -3 from the branch modifier. So he gets a wound badge, and his strength is reduced by the modifier from the branch, which is 3 in this case, the negative modifiers, and flux roll. If you remember, flux is your second die subtracted from your first die. Just roll 2 6-sided dice and then take one away from the other. In that case, I rolled a 1, so it's -3 +1, and we ended up the net total of the flux roll was 1. So -3 was 2. Sorry, 2. So -3 +2 is -1, so his strength goes down by 1 because of the wounds he received during this particular term. Okay, does he get his reward? Yes, he does. another medal, which is another excess. So he's racking up on these excesses. Commission, yes, he gets a commission. And this time around, he rolls pretty low against his dexterity and ends up in rank 01. It's officer rank. Don't roll for promotion this time around. The way that this works is that the officer promotion rolls are made before the officer commission award rolls, so you can't get promoted and get a commission in the same term. And then your enlisted promotion stuff takes place after the commission. So you got a commission, so you don't now roll to see if you've been promoted as an officer, and you also don't roll to see if you've been promoted as an enlisted guy. So that's it. So officer 1. Skill options, so he gets rank in Astrogator because it's an automatic one for officer 1, and this time we choose 3 missions and 2 personals. The 3 missions, language, comms, and I'm missing one. I should have added another one in there. So let's put another comms in there, just for the heck of it, and I can change his comms up by a rank. So comms, let's make that 2, which means that goes to 3 and that goes to 3. There we go. Okay, so should have rolled 3 times for mission and didn't, just roll twice. Right, and 2 personals in this case, dexterity and social. So in our turn 2, there you go. There's his strength has been wounded, and then all of this. Now he's mustering out at space of turn 2, so we're not making the continuation roll. We're actually leaving the Navy. In which case we go and muster out. We go and do some mustering things here in the spacer. He automatically gets a personal weapon for mustering out because he has got a beam, fighter beams rank. So he automatically gets a personnel weapon to go fill that. For term 1, so he gets 2 mustering out rolls for his terms in the Navy. For term 1 he gets 50,000 credits. In turn 2 he gets a modifier to his endurance, which is reflected there. No, it's not. It's reflected there. Term 2. So there we go. So he's now mustered out of the Navy, and he's going to become a functionary. So he's decided that all of that stuff in the Navy, probably maybe being in the diplomatic corps of the Navy, has led him into being more on the government side of things, dealing with the hivers or something like that. So now he's starting a new life as a functionary. So there you go. So we want to see if we can try and get in first, see if they'll accept him as a functionary. In that case, we've got to roll against 3 times the number of terms. So 2 times 3 is 6. We rolled a 3, so that was a success. He's in. Major this time is, his controlling characteristics in this term is education. That's just fold over from the career. You can figure out what type of functionary he is. Some of the functionaries have more logical things to go in, depending on prior career. You cannot take functionary, by the way, as a first career. You have to go and follow some other career before you can then enter the functionary career. Right. So none of this kind of stuff. All we're really worried about with functionaries, it's quite an easy career to resolve, really. You have, you roll your risk, you roll your reward. If you fail your risk, then you'll have to muster out that term. If you succeed your risk, then you can remain as a functionary. And then your reward roll just says whether you got promoted or not up the functionary ladder for that term. So we're only really worried about, can we continue, and do we actually get promoted up the tree? Right, so that's what all that is about. I actually might as well do all of these 3 of these terms. So you got education for his controlling characteristic in one, intelligence in another, and endurance in another. That's because again, the controlling characteristic, you have to rotate it through those for the career, and you have to rotate through all of them listed for the career until you can go back up to the top. Education first, because his education at this point is 12 and he can't fail that. Okay, so this is just the track of his rank. He's gone F1, F2 and F3. So he starts at F0 rank. This is rank F0. And then he got promoted in each of the terms that he was there. So he went from 0 to 1, 1 to 2 and then 1 to 3. So here are his skills. He gets bureaucrat in his first term as a functionary, which is automatic for rank F0. 2 personals, a business and 2 vocation. So in this case we've rolled endurance and intelligence, and they are reflected in the table up here where they've was it T3, so in T3 all of that, and you've got now teacher and 2 admin skills that we've rolled in the other tables. Okay, so we are now age 38, and this is the first term or in which he ages. So aging at the end of this term he was 34. The end of his spacer career he was 34. So now he's going into the functionary career at age 34. So during that term, 34 to 38 term, he is subject to aging. And what you do here is this. So you roll 2d against your life stage, in which case 34 is life stage 5 for a human, and if it succeeds, then that particular characteristic has been affected by aging. Now mental aging doesn't start, or the mental stats aging doesn't start until later for humans. The physical aging starts now. So rolled once for strength, once for dexterity and once for endurance. And any of those rolls that succeed mean the characteristic goes down. And as you can see, we have got in term 3 his strength went down because that roll succeeded. Okay. Okay, so that's aging on that, and then you can see in his term 4, second term as a functionary, succeeded all of this using intelligence for his controlling characteristic, succeeded both of those, then got promotion because of this success, got to rank F2, so he's subject to the, or gains the automatic skill, which is admin, for achieving rank F2. Now he's rolling 2 personals, 2 business and 1 vocation. Personals end up with intelligence and education. The business ended up in broker and trader, and his vocation ended up with Hiver, or language, but you know he's pretty much becoming an expert in Hiver. Aging again, we're still at life stage 5, so all of these success rolls have been made against 5. Endurance goes down this time, rolling a 4 against 5, which is a success, but in this case you don't want to succeed. So endurance drops due to aging, as we can see for term 4 up there. Right, now final term. Term as a functionary, here we go, controlling characteristic and endurance. Failed his risk, so he cannot continue as a functionary. He has to clear out a dodge, take all of his belongings home in a cardboard box at the end of it, and that's pretty much the end of character generation as we are seeing it. He does, however, succeed at his reward, so he does get that final promotion up to rank F3, which gives him another rank in bureaucrat, automatic for rank F3. And this time we've chosen 3 business and 2 vocations. Business, we get advocate, 2 ranks in that, and a trade. We're going to select programmer because it's a trade we've already got, and the 2 vocations, communications and language. No surprise, we're going to choose Hiver for that. Can't continue, and this time he's got some more aging to deal with, but this time he's at life stage 6, so the target is a little bit higher, and so it's easier to succeed and therefore have your characteristics go down. Right, so that's all of the career stuff done. So he musters out as a functionary. We've got 3 terms here, so he's entitled to 3 rolls down there. He gets a gold watch automatically, the value of which is 100 credits per term. We've got 20,000 credits on one of the benefits rolls. His endurance went up on another one of them, and he gets task fellowship on his 3rd and final benefit roll. And that is what we end up with. that's the character. So this ends up his final characteristics, his final skill ranks, and then all of his prior history and how we got there, and the stuff he's got because of all of that. So yeah, it's slightly more complex in the fact that this one, unlike the Rogue, this one involved getting commissions and going for promotions and doing a little bit more jiggery pokery around the scenes. Also including an aging role, which our little Rogue didn't, and a bit more, well, just a different example really of all of the stuff that can go through, and a changing career, which we didn't cover with the Rogues as well. So rather than do another hour-long video to take you through bit by bit all of the explanation for what is going on, or a bit more depth of the explanation of what's going on, what all of these numbers mean, are in the first two videos, and the third video will go into mustering out and some of the detail that you can add on after the fact. I haven't gone into the detail, the detailing stuff you'll see when you see the third video, but it goes into, you know, what university did he go to and where did he get his masters and all this kind of stuff, school quality and whatnot. So yeah, that's it. As I said, quick lightning talk through all of this in a more complex example, but it's not really that complicated. I know that it's quite easy to miss the odd numbers out, like, you know, this one up here, where if you're, you know, trying to hurtle through things and not really pay attention to some of the numbers that you're dealing with. But it's just it is what it is, and you can always tweak and correct things back as you go. If you've got a lenient game master that isn't going to murder you for everything that you get wrong, which is not what we should be in the realm of doing, since we play these games for fun. Okay, right, I'll see you in part 3, which is actually I recorded a couple of weeks ago or so, but it's the tail end of what we were talking about before. I just wanted to do a supplementary that showed you a bit more of complexity. Okay, take care.